Greetings, YouTube. I have produced, and I know this is hard to believe, and just like my puns, if you were to look at this as quantity over quality, I agree. I have two goals with my channel, okay? One of them makes more sense than the other. The first one is my offer reviews, my commentaries, everything. I'm the fast food of the MCOC community. It's a guilty pleasure for people to admit that they even watch my channel half the time. In fact, there are certain places in the MCOC community where if you say anything positive about me, you are instantly in the minority. But for the same kind of people who say that they would never go to McDonald's, it keeps billions of people fed. So, a large community goes to McDonald's, even if they don't like to talk about it. I'm like the McDonald's of MCOC, Hopefully I give you something that you remember, at least in the moment, tasted pretty good. Maybe it doesn't sit with you always. This is a little dangerous analogy in terms of fat gain and caloric intake. But my goal is to be, the fast food of MCOC, whereas somebody like, especially like my man KT1 with his editing is like a nice sit-down restaurant. Shout out to KT. But the other goal is, and I say this in the most positive way, despite the cancel culture backlash on him that I think is kind of ridiculous, honestly. I also want to be the Joe Rogan of MCOC with my interview series. I want to be the person that is not afraid to ask any question or go to any area of the MCOC or even human experience. The Analyzer was vulnerable enough to talk about almost dying. KT1 was vulnerable enough to talk about how he got started murking in the first place. They're not the easiest conversations on paper, but as human beings, that's a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more captivating, and dare I say, a whole lot more growth for opportunity personally than if you just talk about fluff, In life, if you get an opportunity to do something, you want to carve your own niche, and sometimes it's scary because it may not work. But I saw an interview with somebody last night, and they had a quote that was so amazing. They said, if you aren't failing, you're not trying hard enough. And I think that's important for YouTube because you're going to fail just as much, if not more, especially at the beginning, than you're going to succeed. And there have been series that I started and I've never brought back because they were just failures, but I tried them and they didn't work. And then there are series that I never thought that I would continue, especially like crystal opening commentaries, that are now a staple of this channel. With that being said, my first reaction to seeing the 75 inventory caps limit of the Romance Team Revives, the Romance Revives, the Romance Team Health Potions, the Romance Health Potions, was to feel angry, was to feel slighted. Because I have lost so many revives. I just lost all of the level 2 revives and the level 5 health potions that were in one of the compensation packages from Kabam from last month. Because I claimed them for the energy refills and just didn't use them. Now, you can look at that a number of ways. You can say, well, Prof, you shouldn't have claimed them then. You could have waited another 14 days. That's true. You could have also said, Prof, you haven't done hardly any of Act 7. You would have probably died with your skills there. You could have used them there. That's true too. But my greater point is, I shouldn't have to. My greater point is the inventory caps, given how hard the game has increased, and in general, the server capability we've seen Kabam use, the inventory cap should be at least double. They should be capping things at 40, not less than 20. And so I've always said that Kabam should cap revives and potions, if no other item, to 40. Because these things are also percentage-based, 40%. That rewards you for using that on a 6-star because they have such a larger health pool than a 5-star, but especially 4 stars, 3 stars, etc. You look at these. These are 50%. 50% health. Better than level 2s. So in theory, this is a more powerful item than a level 2. This is somewhere between a level 2 and a 60% level 3. This is like a level 2.5. And suddenly I can hoard 75 of them? Now, an argument would be, yeah, but it's a romance event. It usually goes away in February, and those either convert to regular revives or even worse, like nothing. Well, shout out to that new Colossus I got. You go to the update, and you see at the very bottom something that is truly game-changing. Something that gives us leverage with Kabam's argument. because it's essentially now a lie. These unique romance items will not. You see it in caps. There's a reason behind that. Even if you want to bust some caps on Kabam's inventory allotments. They will not expire or convert, which is a first, even when the month of love leaves us. So feel free to keep a few around, but you'll need to remember who they work on after this message expires at the end of February. And for most champions, that's probably not relevant, but for champions like Archangel and Domino and Cable, champions like Human Torch, if you bring him into the Abyss, suddenly if you're fighting with Human Torch against that classic Mephisto Abyss fight, you're going to save some revives if you haven't done the easy path because of these. That's a great Abyss strategy. If I have a rank 5, 65 Human Torch, or especially an Awakened 6-star that I can take to rank 2, rank 3, I now have built-in Abyss insurance for being knocked out with Human Torch. That's amazing. If Aegon was in this would be like the Abyss Crystal to me. That's how I would read it. But because they said that these do not expire or convert, they are saying that they have the server capability from now until the end of the game to have us hoard these without issues. And this isn't 40. This is 75. So my argument, because an argument could be made, and maybe some of you are wanting me to make it, but I like to give some kind of compromise with Kabam because they're not going to do the extreme thing. By the way, these inventory caps are with me purchasing $10 a month from a Black ISO store. Those of you who aren't, you're like, Prof, mine's not 19, mine's 15. 15? So, I could say, if you can hoard 75 of these, we should be able to hoard 75 of these. I don't think that's realistic. Because Kabam would use that BS argument that we are now proving is false. That it would break the economy of the game. But I do think we have an argument at the minimum for doubling it. At the minimum, let's look at these all too important items, huh? At the minimum, starting with the level 2s as the game loads, 38. Or, if you're a free-to-play player, 30. Kabam is trying to desperately figure out ways to not have people walk away. They know that the discussions about 7 stars are starting. They know that the discussions of all the new ways that you can mod champions are starting. But rebalancing, not a pro for the community as a whole. 7 stars, not a pro as the community as a whole, even though some of you have told me you're actually on board with it, and that kind of surprised me. Increasing inventory caps is a win for everybody. And look, we have the caps on these at 125. I'm not saying you have to increase everything. I think 125 is actually pretty fair, though I always have these things go into overflow. But yeah, you're not going to reach that easily. But regular potions and revives, now we have them next to one another just to mock you. How about that? This is game-changing, YouTube. We need to go to Kabam, and we need to have them increase the potions and revives inventory cap for both alliance items and non-alliance items. Think about how much more exciting the compensation would be every Wednesday we get for the game still being broken with the Alliance War and Alliance Quest revives if they didn't automatically go into your overflow and expire in a week plus time. If you just got to hoard them, you'd be excited, right? You'd be pumped up. This could be a huge pro player move if Kabam does the smart thing and at least gives us the middle ground of the inventory cap that they've now set the new historic bar for with these items. It is my job on my channel to fight for players, especially free-to-play players. This would be a huge win for free-to-play players. Probably the biggest win you all have had in a year. But Kabam can only do it if we as a community tell them to. Nicely, respectfully. So that is my plea to the community today. Let's keep this right under 10 minutes to avoid those triple ads and end it here. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a good one.